Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. We're very happy to see you here during our virtual Mastery in Management Open Day at ESCP Business School. I can see that we have a lot of people participating in the webinar from all over the world. The goal today is to give you the opportunity to meet two of our Mastery in Management alumni so that you can discover more about what they did at ESCP and after ESCP as Mastery in Management students. And you can learn more, like in general, about our career services, about our alumni association. That's really the point of this webinar. So we will not be covering any topics related to like admissions in the Master in Management, because we already did some webinars about this and we have the virtual booth to cover these questions. So yes, as I said, we will really be focusing on our alumni who are like here today with us. So very quickly, my name is Hélène Frangel. I'm a marketing manager at ESCP Business School. So my role is really to make sure that we have people from all over the world applying to our program. And my role is, for example, to organize webinars. Caroline and Tanish, do you want to introduce yourselves quickly?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So my name is Caroline Bertrand. I'm French and I joined ESCP in 2019 and graduated in 2022. And I've been working for the past 3 years now, and you'll see later what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm now a professional in business analyst and supply chain.
Great. Thanks, Caroline. I'm Tanishq Mittal. I am originally from India. I came to ESCP in 2020 and graduated in the 2022 batch. Currently, I'm working at Expand Research, which is a BCG specialty business, as lead analyst, and very happy to talk to you further.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to watch the replay in a few hours. And as you can see, I am now sharing my screen with the presentation. If you have any questions, like feel free to write them down in the chat. We will do the presentation first, and then we will answer your questions. So let's go. So as I said, first we will talk about the career services at ESCP, and then we will explain the role of the Alumni Association before answering your questions. So once you are admitted as a student at ESCP, you will have a lot of events that are organized by the career services. You will have access to a job portal called Job Teaser with like thousands of internship offers, job offers in all different fields and countries. So it's very, very rich platform, and a lot of like jobs and internships offers are actually provided by ESCP alumni who want to give back to the community and want to hire people from their previous schools because they know that our students are very good. So some job offers are actually not put on the market, let's say. They're not put on LinkedIn, they're not put on Indeed, whatever job portal you use. These are sometimes like very good offers that are targeted directly for our students. The career services is going to offer different types of advising. Like you're not going to have to look for an internship on your own with just your own resources. We will help you to do that. So they will coach you. They will really offer like some individual coaching sessions that you can use to your advantage to, for example, prepare for an interview, to review your CV, your cover letter. As you know, I hope we do have campuses in several countries. So we do have people who are experts in different countries. If you want to apply in Germany or in France, you're not going to use the same CV, for example. You really need to adapt to the local culture country. So that's why it's very useful for us to have different campuses, because we do have advisors that actually know the market very well and are able to like help you as best as they can. They will also help you obviously with your LinkedIn profile. They will really like organize a lot of workshops towards these things, and they will help you look for internships first and then jobs after graduation. And they will also organize a lot of events, a lot of in-person events on different campuses, but also some online events, so that you can meet a lot of companies, so that you can network with a lot of people. So yes, company presentations, like sectors presentation, case studies, boot camp, whatever. Yes, a lot of things all being organized on all our campuses. So it's very useful for you to take advantage of all of this. And I often say that when things are not compulsory, sometimes students don't always go to all events because they don't have to. And that's a shame, because we organize all of these events so that we can give you a lot of opportunities to meet with companies, but also meet new students that you don't know, that maybe you're not sharing classes with. So, and all this networking will have a huge impact on your career, but also on your personal life. So that's why we really encourage you to take advantage of everything that we organize for you, because it will really help you on all aspects. Caroline and Tanish, do you want to share a little bit about how it was for you a few years back when you were at ACP?
In terms of like the career service and
Caroline, we can't hear you very well.
in terms of like
Yes.
the career service that you guys offered and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. Back then, I think I used quite a lot the breakfast with the companies, and I did attend quite a lot of like meeting with breakfast and like little careers fair that was organized on campus. And I think it was like a good way to get a chat. Obviously, there's always a lot of people, so I'm not saying you're going to find definitely like an internship there or something, but it gets you like a first contact a first person to reach out to. And then I would also personally quite like look for people, alumni from ESCP that were in the companies that I was hoping to apply to. And well, I'll tell you a bit more about it later. But in my team, like a lot of people were from ESCP where I'm working. So I think it's definitely helping, because it's something that you have in common with the people, so people are quite interested in your CV, in my opinion. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caroline summed it up quite well. Like, I started in 2020, which was the peak COVID batch itself, where everything was starting to commence over virtually, and the economy was not that great as well. But I think the engagement with career services team was very important, which I began very early on before even starting with the prerequisite courses. The engagement with the careers team, that was super helpful. It is practically like, I would say, let them help you, like help them help you. It's like that. So the more you engage with them, the more they will adapt to it. I'd be very happy to share much more anecdotes further. But yeah, that's my overall outlook to it.
Okay. Can you tell us on which campuses you studied?
I
Yes,
was in Paris and London.
Okay.
yeah, same with me. So I did first semester Paris, 3 semesters then in London.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Alumni Association. So once you're a student, also after graduation, once you're officially an alumnus or an alumna of the school. So the Alumni Association is going to work on two aspects. First of all, advising, because we really want to encourage this relationship between students and alumni. So that's why we have like a system of mentors that you can really get in touch with people who are currently working in a specific sector, in a specific country. And you can really have your personal coach and organize meetings with them. And they can also organize a lot of boot camps for specific industries. So once again, they organize a lot of events. And then, yes, they will organize varied, diverse events, sometimes online, sometimes in person, so that you can meet your fellow alumni and keep networking. So as you can see, like some speed dating events, so that you can meet people, but also like in person, and obviously all around the world, not just in the countries where we have our campuses, but really like worldwide. Also, when we do travel for work, I'm going to give you an example. A few months ago, I was traveling to Singapore for a fair. And so I organized an event for alumni to like create, like to keep the bond with the community. And so these alumni who didn't know each other because they were from different classes, like some of them like graduated ESCP in the 80s, and some of them graduated a few years ago, and so they got to meet and realize that they were all living in Singapore, and so they could work on their network even like in Singapore, because just they actually attended the same school, even like one generation apart. And the Alumni Association is going to organize like several like alumni groups by sector, by country, etc., so that you can keep this relationship. Caroline and Tanishq, you are young alumni. You graduated not so long ago. Have you taken part in any of these events yet?
I haven't yet, but I honestly wish I knew there was all those things with the Alumni Association while I was a student. I think I didn't look for enough for this kind of things, because when I see like mentoring of students and stuff, I think it's great to have this offered, because you can definitely find someone doing what you're hoping to do or helping you figure out what type of field you want to work in. And so I think this is such a great service, and it's a shame I didn't know about it back then. So I'm glad that you guys can discover it now. And yeah, all those networking events, I haven't attended them yet, because indeed, as you said, we're quite young alumni, but yeah.
Yeah, Caroline, you will certainly be and Tanishq as well. I know like the Alumni Association organizes, for example, I think like a garden party at the beginning of summer in Paris. So like everyone's invited, but obviously it's easier if you are in Paris, but they do organize like diverse like events everywhere.
Yeah.
But obviously like a lot of alumni are in Paris, so there are a lot of events organized here. Tanishq, did you take part in any events?
So when I started off as a student, I actually used the alumni network quite well. There was, I think, we could get in touch with an alumni, and he could be a mentor. He could be a mentor for a year. I don't exactly remember the initiative, but I got in touch with one of the very early on MIM graduates, and he was working as a CFO of one of the telecom companies, and he was very kind enough. He introduced me. I was looking for a career in finance, and he introduced me to few people in his network as well, just to understand that what are the skill set that they're looking for, just organize talks. It was not like basically a job seeking practice, but I think it was more about what more can I do to stand out as an applicant. So I think it was extremely beneficial in that stage, but coming from a non-finance background for me. So yeah, but unfortunately, as Caroline said, I've not been able to participate in it once I've graduated, but I'll definitely be looking forward to the next invite.
Of course. All right. So now, yeah, like in a few words, like the top employers of MIM graduates. So obviously we have a lot of like big companies. We also have a lot of startups in basically any field. I mean, that's also the advantage of doing a master in management, is that you can work in all kinds of sectors, in all kinds of positions. So even like in like one type of field, if you take luxury, for example, you could work in luxury, but in finance as well as in marketing, as well as HR, etc. So obviously a lot of big names here that recruit a lot of our graduates. So now let's talk a little bit about you guys. We're gonna start with Caroline, but then we'll leave the floor to Tanishq. So here's basically like your CV, but can you tell us a little bit more about your current job, your previous job, and what you learned at ESCP that was very useful to find these jobs?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. So basically, when I joined the SCP first, I had a bachelor's in business management already. So it was quite the field. Well, it was always business management for me, but as a whole, because business management is quite large, and I've already switched a little bit throughout my career between my internships and what I'm doing now. I've already taken some turns, and that's what's great about a master's in management, is that it leaves so many opportunities. So when I joined, I always had a bit that dream of working in luxury, but I didn't realize it was really possible. To me, it was something a bit non-accessible. And by joining ESCP, I realized that actually it is feasible. A lot of people at ESCP join like the big companies in the luxury field and stuff. And yeah, that kind of teased me, and I really wanted to try. So I went into Chanel at first as my first internship in product management. And I applied online, but definitely attended different meetings at ESCP organized by the career fair, like a breakfast, and with different alumni in very various fields, because I didn't really know exactly which way to take. And yeah, that's how I realized that regardless of what function I wanted to do, the industry was appealing to me. And in this kind of companies, you can, as you said, be HR, finance, supply chain, marketing, merchandising, a lot of different jobs exist. And that's why internships are here, is actually to try out and see what suits you best. So I started off as a product manager assistant at Chanel. Really enjoyed it, but I was lacking a little bit the very analytical and commercial strategy aspect of it. So then I went into Louis Vuitton as a merchandiser on leather goods for another 6-month internship, during my gap year between M1 and M2. And there I realized that this was exactly what I wanted to do, like product strategy, basically analyzing all your sales results from all around the world and then building your next collections and what should stay inside of the collections, what you should remove and stuff like that. So all this strategy around making the collection available in the right market at the right time. So it would enable me basically to mix both my interest for the products, but also all my very analytical and yeah, I'm number oriented. And I was really looking forward to get a job that could mix both the like product creativity type of thing and also the very rational, my rational organizational type of personality. So yeah. So that's what I did during my time at ESCP. And right after I graduate, I got a CDI, so a permanent job at Louis Vuitton in that same team as a business analyst. So working on ensuring that the business is growing is growing with like a good structure. It's not overly growing, that we keep the business healthy and don't take too much risk, but still take some risk, you know, to get new clients and stuff like that. So I just spent 2.5 years doing this for the leather goods team, which is basically the heart of Louis Vuitton. So it was very, very stimulating. And I think as a first job, it was great to get this kind of big companies, big structure where everything is like super established, because you can learn a lot there. And it was basically the continuation of what I had learned, because at ESCP, I took a lot of different classes, because I stayed in the free track for my first specialization before then doing like a marketing specialization. But for the free track, I did some procurement classes. I did a lot of different topics. I think everything really helped me in my first step of my career, because my job was very I was like coordinating a lot of different teams. So it would enable me to better understand the different strategies of the different teams and their objectives and KPIs, and better understand what each team was responsible for. And yeah, I think this is thanks to like all the different classes I was able to take at ESCP. So yeah, and then not long ago, I changed jobs. So I started a month ago at Cézanne as a supply planner. So I work on all the forecast of the different products and make the different plans for the next 3 years, 5 years to keep growing and developing the company, but more from a supply point of view. So with all the logistics approach of making sure that all the flow of products work well throughout the whole chain, that everything is arriving on time to then be sent to the clients. So yeah, working on all of this, and then working also on different development project, because it's a much younger company, so we're still developing worldwide, and that's very exciting. And yeah.
All right. Now go on to Tanishq.
Sure, thanks. So, again, so I'm from versus master in management. My background was very different. I did Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical, back in India, and but I was always very driven towards the management side of things. And uh, coming to ESCP was that step for me for my career in business management. Uh, I believe in the 2 years I've had great experiences. I don't come from a native French background, but I did one of my first internships after my first year at Unilever Sourire, which was I was the only non-French speaker at the company. And however, I think it taught me a lot in terms of how is the French working culture, also from the language perspective, and opening a different area of opportunities. It was a public works department, taught me about a lot about business expansion. Uh, then I also worked at 180 Degree Consulting, which was the ESCP Society, which taught me about a lot of best consulting practices. We got some real life cases where I could work on my skills and grow more into that. Um, Lastly, which the last internship just before my graduation was at the Pendulum, which was a fintech company in blockchain, and I was working right under the CFO to create documents, and they were at a funding stage, so work on the ICO of the project, as it's called in the blockchain industry. And all of these experiences eventually landed me in at one of the top recruiters of ESCB, that's BCG, as a lead analyst for, and currently I'm doing competitive benchmarking across different asset classes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, you two. I think we're at the end of our presentation, so we can move on to the questions. I have seen that there are a few already. The first one, what were the most valuable aspects of the curriculum that prepared you for your current role? So were there any specific classes or seminars or people that you met, let's say, like which parts of the curriculum were especially useful?
Um, uh, for me, I think it was as I said, it was, I was of the peak COVID batch. I think the best part, which it was a blessing in disguise for me, was during the first two specializations, that was SEM 2 and SEM 3. I did investment banking at the London campus, and all of our lectures were by the guest lectures. They were real investment banking professionals who came and taught us about equity capital markets, debt capital markets, some real life case scenarios. We made pitch presentations for them as well. I think that was something really useful, really practical as well. It was less theory, more practical behavior, which eventually helped in interviews as well. We had some real life instances that we could actually share and prove our ability. So I think that was super helpful. And the last one I did was entrepreneurship again at the London campus, where we had one company as a client, and all of our courses revolved around that company. So everything that we are learning in each subject has to be implemented for that company strategy. So I think these two things were absolutely great during the experience of ESCP.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think all the people that come from the all the outside speaker that come during the classes is definitely such like a great insight because you get real life experience and it's not just theoretical. And I think that's one of the great value of ESCP is that in my past in my bachelor I didn't have as many outside and guest speaker, and I think that really makes a difference because learning the theory is a thing, but everyone can read it. But then someone explaining how it applies into like a company and real life and real world, I think it really made a difference. And it also makes it way more like entertaining. And I'm not the easiest to focus on something for 3 hours straight, and getting some outside speaker really interacting with you and making those classes less theoretical, obviously still theoretical, but showing you how it applies to real life really made the difference for me, I think. And I agree. I had quite a lot on the London campus as well, and that was great.
Perfect. So we do have a few questions for you, Caroline, and a few questions for you, Tanish. So maybe let's start with Caroline. Did your classes help you in order to work specifically in the luxury business, in the luxury area?
Specifically in the luxury business, I don't think so, because I think it really applies to a lot of industries. But just like all the classes, because I did a marketing specialization, it really all helped me into going into what I'm doing. But in a way, I feel like I could have gone into fast moving consumer goods, for example, and it would still apply. I didn't take anything specialized in luxury. It's just I decided to move in that direction. But it's, to me, like selling a physical product was very important, and I feel like a lot of classes really prepared me for that. But the product itself didn't make that much a difference. I think just one class that I took was very helpful for the luxury, because the professor really really liked the luxury industry, so he did use a lot of examples from that industry. It was the brand management class on the Paris campus, and I found it very very interesting, and it gave me actually quite a lot of insights, and helped me to to basically sell myself during interviews for that industry. I got a lot of insights from that class.
Yeah, no, obviously it can be useful to have classes in a specific area. So maybe it was not the case at your time, Caroline, but now we do have specializations on the luxury sector specifically. I believe we have two.
Yeah, I've heard that, but back then it didn't exist. So
yes, because we
more
did create
general.
them based on what students wanted, like the program keeps evolving. So something I want to say to like candidates, like when they look at the list of specializations, that obviously it can be very good if you're interested in luxury to do a specialization in luxury, but you are proof, Caroline, that you don't need to do a specialization in luxury to actually work in the field, because you did do a specializations in marketing, and then you could work in this field. So it worked perfectly. So
and also I want to add,
plus, and it's interesting if you can like follow classes based on a specific sector, but it's not a must.
Exactly. You don't need to be the biggest expert in that industry to actually join it. It's more a matter of showing your curiosity and wanting to discover it. And obviously you need to have some basic knowledge, but you don't need to be the expert. And I think it's important to have some specialized class on that. But having the general understanding of how things work is more important, in my opinion, in my experience at least.
Yes. Tanishk, we do have some questions about your engineering backgrounds. Like, how did you manage this, like, switch? Having an engineering background, how did you explain when you were applying? How did you explain the fact that you wanted to study management? And was it hard to catch up at first?
Yeah, so I think during the application process, like I would not really get into it, as you said, admission services were already done, but I think the main part is about showing your will, that what are you trying to achieve exactly after this course. That is how I think you explain the desire to join masters in management, and explain that why you should be part of why should you be part of the student pool. Then coming about catching up, I think ESCP provided sufficient resources for me in advance of the semester one to be able to catch up, to be at par with the other students who might have a similar background. I think that was prerequisite courses. I don't know if it's any different now, but prerequisite courses did you require you to be of a in case you don't have a certain background, then that is the place where you can start learning, you can start understanding the basics of some subjects. Other than that, as I said very early on in this conversation, that help you. You reach out to faculty. The faculty is super nice. I've in my entire ESCP time of 2 years, I've never come across any faculty who have turned down most of the stupid questions as well. So they've always been very nice. They've been always been very answering to anything. So the answer is no. I didn't find it hard at all to catch up having an engineering background.
Yes, and there's a little bit of a follow-up question. Like, on the other hand, did it help you in some ways to have this engineering background?
Yeah. I mean, of course it did, because it's like having being the best of both worlds. Engineering, you leverage your mathematical aptitude, your analytical aptitude over there. With business management, you talk about articulation, communicating the right strategy, thinking critically, these kind of things. So it's about how you leverage your skill set from both the experiences, and then work it out in your desired field.
Yes. What I can add about like your testimonial is that yes, as you mentioned, if you come from an engineering background, for example, basically if you come from a background where you did not study what students study basically in pre-master, so like all the basics of management, if you haven't studied economics, a little bit of law, a little bit of like finance, marketing, all of this. If you haven't done any of this, you will have to follow prerequisite classes that are taking place online during the summer before your M1 starts. It is not a choice. It is really according to your previous curriculum that the program directors will decide if you have to follow some prerequisites and how many of them, how many subjects. Obviously, if you've studied, if you have a law degree, you will not take the prerequisite in law. That would not make sense. Whereas in engineering, for example, maybe there are some prerequisites in some like analytical subjects that you don't have to take. So it's really up to the directors. Like they will have a look at your transcript and will decide how many classes you have to take online during summer. And just like to reassure people with an engineering background, it is absolutely not uncommon for engineers to want to study management. It's actually a profile that we like a lot, and like one of your like main assets, I will say, is that you have very good analytical skills, and these are in very high demands in a lot of jobs. For example, in the fields of finance, if you want to work as a data analyst, for example. So be reassured, you will not be the first engineer to want to apply to a business school, and your profiles are very much appreciated. So we do have some questions about the luxury industry. So back to Caroline, because we often hear that this industry is pretty closed off and that basically it's going to work on referral, and if you don't know someone in the industry, you can't really get in. So Caroline, do you want to explain a little bit? I don't think you came from this industry.
Oh.
So how
I totally, this is a wrong belief. Like it's really not the case. In my surroundings, like none of my parents or surroundings basically work in that industry. For some reason, I was attracted to it. So I always questioned myself on whether I wanted to work there. And then it's mostly a matter of showing your interest for the maison. The luxury industry is a lot about the DNA, the history and stuff. So deep dive into the maison's website and stuff. You'll get a lot of information, and it's a good way for you to discover it. And I definitely think you can manage to get in without having like referrals or someone inside helping you, because well, that was not my case, for example. And the great thing is that it's an industry with a lot of different jobs. Like you can do anything, like everything exists. And also from one maison to another maison, the maison is how they call the companies basically. A job may also have a different definition from one maison to another maison. So if you find something is missing in the job description of one of the maison, you can find it in another one. Like there's so many opportunities because it's such like a wide industry. I was in fashion, but the industry also includes hotels, also includes food and beverage, also includes watch and jewelry. It's very wide, very broad, and there's a lot of different sectors within it. And I think they tend to take a lot of interns. So internship is such a great way to get your first step in. And I think it's definitely easier to get a permanent job if you've had a first internship in that industry. But to get inside the industry for an internship, I think ESCP really helped me because it's a name that the maisons recognize. And as I said a bit earlier, the team I joined at Louis Vuitton was a huge team. And I think like a third of the team was from ESCP, like no jokes, from a lot of different classes. So yeah, I was working with people that graduated ESCP in like 2000 and stuff like that. So very different classes. But for some reason, a lot of people from ESCP were actually, a lot of people in my team were actually from ESCP. So I think it's definitely like a good way in because they know that it's a guarantee for a certain value and a certain like level of students. So I think ESCP is definitely a great way to enter it. And yeah, I would recommend starting with an internship because indeed it makes it easier than to find a permanent job, but not impossible.
Yeah, no, obviously that's what I wanted to say is that during your curriculum at ESCP, you will have to do internships anywhere. And so that's why if you have a sector in mind, it's always good to start doing internships in this sector so that you can, first of all, check that you actually like this sector. And so that's why it's interesting to do several internships, maybe in companies of like different sizes or in different departments. But yes, when you said like you didn't have referrals, well, basically ESCP was your referral.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
that was really
It's your
obviously
passport, you know. It's a certain
it's a great
guarantee.
stamp to have.
Basically.
It's a great stamp
Exactly.
to have on your
Exactly.
CV. I mean, you work hard for this stamp.
No,
And so
but you feel
obviously,
like it makes the difference.
of course, of
Even
course.
just to go through the process of getting an interview and not just passing, you know, to pass the screening is definitely already like a good
Of
stamp.
course, it is a
Yeah.
well-recognized names, and I mean, we do have like some very tight relationships with a lot of luxury brands. I mean, we do have a chair that is led by Cartier. We do have a lot. We organize sometimes like some career events specifically on the luxury sector, and I mean. It also helps that our campuses are based in the city center of specific cities, so that it is actually easier for companies to actually come to our career fairs because it's not too far away from the city center. So it is also convenient for them, and they know that our students are excellent. I'm trying to see. So I am seeing a few questions that are not related to alumni and careers. This is really the point of this webinar, is that we focus on these questions. So if you do have questions about the program in general, I have seen questions about apprenticeship, about the GMAT. I recommend that you go to our booth so that you can ask these questions directly. We have a booth for admissions. We have a booth for general questions about the program. This is more the place because we don't have much time left, so we really want to focus on these questions basically.
I see one question, and I think there will be some people interested in that answer. Someone asking if you can get into M&A by doing the meme without going through the Master of Finance. And I have a lot of my former friends from ESCP, former colleagues that do work in this industry. So it's definitely possible to do that. If you take like a finance specialization, you can definitely do that.
Yes, you can definitely, when people hesitate between a master in management and a master of science, like specialized in one industry, usually like it's not the end result that's so different, that you can reach the same types of jobs and the same types of salaries, but the difference is the program itself, because the master in management is a long program. It's 2 years plus usually 1 year of internships, and it's a general program. You first have some core courses and then you personalize your program, whereas a Master of Science is usually a short program where you have to be sure that you are studying exactly what you want, because you will study only this subject. So the result, like the difference is not so much in the results, let's say in the career that you will have after, it's rather in the program itself. So for people who are currently having like a bachelor or master's degree, are hesitating between a master in management, a master of science, the question is rather, how long do you want to study? Are you sure that you know in which field you want to study? How much do you want to personalize your program? Do you want to be able to apply for an apprenticeship position or not? These are the questions that you should ask yourself in order to make sure that you're choosing the right program. I think we are done with the questions regarding career. No, I have, okay, let's say there's a last one that can apply to Caroline and Tanishq, but like, how do you choose, in which order do you choose like the sector in the industry? Do you first decide to work in marketing and then you find a job in luxury, for example, or do you want to work in luxury and then you will decide on the type of position? This can apply to you, Tanish, as well. Like basically, how do you know in which order you want to you want to choose your specialization?
God, this question reminds me of my application days. I think this question is like boiling up the ocean. It's about the entire application process, choosing industry, sector. All of this is a huge matter of diligence and what you're driven towards. If I give you my example, I started with a journey where I was very passionate towards getting into investment banking, mergers and acquisitions. I landed up in fintech somehow, and then after fintech, I started doing financial advisory role at BCG. So I think it's a lot to do with that. You look out for profiles that you think that resonate strongly with what you aspire in doing, and that where you feel that you can stand out as an applicant as well. You find the right balance of these things, and then you apply for these roles. I would honestly, my suggestion, look, understanding the job market dynamics and different industry sectors as well. I would generally suggest to not shut out your options. Keep as many options open, because you never know what is meant for you.
Yeah, I agree with Tanishq. There's no right or wrong answer on that anyways. It's up to you. For me personally, I wanted to work in that industry, and then I read different job description to specifically know what I wanted to do. And still then, like my first internship was different from my second one, was different from my first job, which is different from what I'm doing now. So there's no like one specific set, like there's nothing is just fixed, you can always change and move different things. So it's just a matter of knowing what you want at the moment and finding a job description that really suits you. So there's no right or wrong answer. Like I think both is fine. If you know what you want to do and not sure about the industry, I feel like try that job in different industries, because one industry might be very different from the other. Yet if you are a bit less sure of what function you want to get into, but a bit more sure about one industry that you're interested in, both way works.
I think it's a great conclusion, and like be curious, like be very open-minded about everything that we offer you. Talk to people, so like talk to alumni, talk to career services, talk to your professors, to students, like talk to people, and they might be able. I really liked what you said, Tanisha. Like let them help you, not like help them help you.
Help them help you.
So that was really good. But yes, basically be curious and have several experiences, and also don't like the world changes also really fast. A lot of jobs that you will apply to in 10 years don't even exist today, so things evolve really quickly. So anyway, there's no way to plan your career very precisely in advance, but just try different things, be very curious, and you will meet a lot of people, and you
and
will
try
find what you
different
like.
things, because by working in companies you'll discover new jobs that you didn't even consider or didn't even know existed. So like we all know some very common basic jobs, and then you discover new jobs. I started as product manager because that's what I knew, but then I discovered merchandising, never heard of it before, and then supply chain and a lot of different things. So it's just like test and try, and you'll see what you like or don't like, and then you can always move, and you'll discover a lot of things inside companies also.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Tanish. And thank you to all of you that were listening to this webinars. Thank you for your very insightful questions. And so the open day is not over. We still have a little bit more than 1 hour. So don't hesitate to come to our booth to chat with us and ask your questions about the Master in Management. Thank you once again, and I wish you a very nice day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Okay, bye.